All right, let's look at our lesson for the week. Let's go to our grade screen. All right. Oh, I didn't turn it in. Fake student didn't turn it in. Anyway, you should have 2.01 done. I haven't turned it in. 2.02 is this week. Let's look at that. Attack mechanisms. Spoofing. We've heard of spoofing. That's a funny term, spoofing, for a very serious cyber attack mechanism. Spoofing occurs when a cyber criminal impersonates a website or an email or a computer user or a device. And this is done with the intention of gaining access to some computer systems or networks. I got an interesting story to tell you on that one too, because I'm always checking online and trying to find stories related to all this to see this. And I saw one, and this was a really, really good one. This couple was buying a house. And so their title company, which is you go to a title company, and that's where you sign all the paperwork, and you give the title company gets the down payment for the house, and they make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, right? So you sign 40 different forms to buy a house, and you do that at the title company. So you're there, and the seller is there, and that whole big thing. So this company was dealing with the title company, and this title company accepts where they can just transfer the money electronically. And they got like a text message from the number of the title company. Yep, that's their phone number. And it said, okay, here's the link where you can transfer the money, or we'll be sending you. It said, it was an actual text from the title company saying, we'll be sending you a link shortly to where it'll let you go and do the money transfer. And then they got another text a few minutes later from the exact same number with this link, and the link took them to this page, and it looked like the page, and they did this money transfer of like $50,000 for this house. And it was a spoof. Someone had monitored the situation or something, because the second text was not actually from the title company. The first one was from the title company, saying we'll be sending you a link, and then a scammer sent them a fake link and had them transfer the money to the scammer, and they lost like 50 grand. It was crazy because it was such a good spoof that they actually used the same number that they had just received a text at from the actual title company. So spoofing is really tough a lot of times to verify. So anything looks suspicious, then you need to go back to the numbers you know is true, go to the actual website of that company, use their phone numbers, something. Be careful anytime you're transferring money online to really make sure you're not being taken advantage of there. But that was the craziest one I've seen, because it looked so real, because they were mixing the communications in with the real communications. So here's common types of spoofing. IP spoofing. An attacker sends IP packets from a made-up address to communicate with targets. This disguises the actual identity of the attacker's host machine because it's from a made-up address. So it's hard to track it sometimes. This technique is also used in most denial of service attacks. When they overwhelm a server, they do it from all these fake addresses. So this will mask the origin of the attack, makes it harder for the target system to block any of the packets from the attacking source, because it'll use a lot of different ones a lot of time. MAC spoofing. This is an attack in which an attacker forges the factory assigned MAC address of a device network's interface. So it fakes the real address. It is not possible to change the burned in address etched in the hardware, but it's possible to mask it on the software side. You can have the software fake that address. DNS server spoofing. Attacks on the URLs, the email addresses, and other text-based domain name users type in their browsers with their associated IP addresses. Attackers may compromise the DNS server and reroute a given domain name to a specific IP address, usually that of a server run by the attackers themselves, so they can reroute things to take it to their servers. Users typing in that domain name, so they could take over an email, a website. You're typing in a website, and the servers have redirected it to their server, which is filled with malware or viruses or worms or all kinds of stuff. So they're getting really good with a lot of this. That's why cybersecurity is getting such to be an important field. Farming with a PH. Farming. These attacks redirect legitimate URLs to spoofed websites designed to look exactly like the real thing. Because it's easy to copy a website. Just go download all the images and rebuild the same website using the same images. The legitimate websites might belong to banks, law enforcement agencies, utility companies. So they can steal usernames, passwords, and financial information, may be stolen by keyloggers, or demands for ransom may be made. We've hijacked your website. If you want it to go back to yours, then you need to pay us some money and we'll release it. And then phishing. We've heard of phishing with a PH. Email spoofing, where it looks like it's a real email from a company. You may get one from a bank and say, oh, there's been a problem with your account. Please log into our account. And it'll give it a link right there in the email. And you click that link, and it's not actually the bank's the website. It's one that's spoofed. It's a fake. They've designed a website to look exactly like the bank's. And then when you log in there, now they've got your login information because you just typed it in on their fake bank site. So I get those a lot. Those are real easy to spot. The best thing to do is those who get those emails is go up and look at the email address it was sent from. It usually displays a fake email. It'll say like at your bank, whatever. But if you click on it and look at the details, it's usually some really weird email address that you've never even heard of. The server, it's not anything close to what it's supposed to be. Email spoofing or phishing. And of course, when it takes you to that page too, if you look at the top, it probably won't have like rvest.com. It'll probably be something totally weird. But it'll look like rvest.com. Email spoofing or phishing may be used to lure unsuspecting recipients into clicking on links that lead to farming websites. The sender's name on the fake email and text messages is usually that of a familiar person or organization, unless you look at the details again behind it. The purpose is to trick the recipient into exposing confidential information. They want you to put your password for your bank in there so they can log into your bank and steal your money. That's probably one of the most common ones I see is phishing. Malware and grayware. A successful spoofing attack allows an attacker to spread malware through rogue links or attachments. People are typically familiar with the term malware, but grayware is not really common for most users. Grayware is an unwanted application that can cause irritation to users, including unwanted behaviors like the use of adware and spyware. The most significant difference is that unlike malware, grayware can't actually damage the actual computer, but it still must be removed. In fact, I think something has infiltrated my school computer here, because if I just go up to the website bar and type in something I want to search, it's taking me to some let me look at it real quick. Let me search for cyber security. See, it's taking me Search Ninja. It's like I've never used Search Ninja. So somehow it's changed my search engine to something called Search Ninja instead of like searching from Google or some other thing. But the problem is Search Ninja apparently is down. So it was a bad site, and it's been taken down because whoever's hosting it discovered that. But it still has infected. See, it can't be reached. It can't reach Search Ninja. So I need to go to tech and say, okay, something has invaded my computer and put this malware on there. So this may be grayware. This may actually be the definition of grayware. It's an unwanted application that causes irritation, unwanted behaviors like the use of adware and spyware. But grayware can't damage the actual computer, but it's got to be removed. Adware is an application designed to track a user's web browsing activities. It sends that information to the hacker, who then sells it to ad companies for marketing purposes. Spyware is used to collect your personal information by monitoring activities. So anytime you type a password in, the spyware will collect that and send it to somewhere. So hackers use spyware to install dangerous malware, Since hackers can monitor your computer, they would know of a system vulnerability that they could exploit there. So it's important to prevent spyware from infecting your computer. You need to have something that's monitoring your computer. So here's ways to prevent grayware from infecting the computer. Avoid downloading cracked software. Because a lot of times it's like, oh, you got to pay $200 for Microsoft Office, but here it is. We've cracked the code. You can download it for free here at this link. Well, you might get it for free, but it's probably going to come with some extra stuff you didn't want, like viruses, grayware, something along with it. So, if it's software you should be paying for, it's worth it to go ahead and pay for it. Don't try to get something that somebody said, hey, I've stolen this, I've cracked it. Avoid opening suspicious emails. There are some that when you open it, it triggers something. Make sure you install software updates. They're annoying because they come all the time, but that's usually because they found some vulnerability that some hackers have figured out. And so they send you an update that closes that window. And then install anti-malware software. A lot of your antivirus also has anti-malware. You can check that to see if it does, because that's important as well. Viruses. Malware is a catch-all term for any kind of malicious software, regardless of how it works. A virus is a specific type of malware. So virus falls under that category. Viruses self-replicate by inserting its code into other programs. So it's able to rewrite other programs and add its virus in there. They've been around since the 1970s. They most attempt to steal users' information or to disable your computer. Hey, if you want your computer to work again, you got to send $1,000 to this place here, and then we'll send you the solution. Different type of viruses are generally classified by the methods they use to infect a computer. So here's the different kinds of viruses we can talk about. Boot sector virus. So boot sector viruses stack the disk boot sector information and sometimes the file system. So when you shut your computer down, not just sleep, but actually shut it down, when you turn it back on, it has some boot sectors. This is the first place it looks. There's some software there that tell it how to start up, which operating system to run. Like on your Chromebook, it tells it to run the Google Chromebook software. It'll tell it to run Windows, run the iOS on an Apple or whatever. And there's viruses that attack that. And right away, you have trouble booting your computer up because of a virus. Program viruses, those are sequences of code that insert themselves into other programs and create headaches and problems. Script viruses. So scripts are used to automate operating system functions and alter a web page's interactivity. So when you run that, there's a script that runs in the background and changes where buttons don't work or take you to the wrong places or something. Macro virus. Macro viruses use the programming features in Microsoft Office documents because there's something called macros. Like if you have Excel, you can run macros, and that's something that it'll automatically do in the background. It'll do some calculations for you on these macros in Excel, but they can make a macro virus where in the background it's actually doing stuff that's damaging to your system. So all viruses have one thing in common. They must infect some host file. Then that file is distributed by a disk or a network, like an email attachment. And email attachment viruses frequently use the infected host's email address book and spoof the sender's address and send itself out to a bunch of other people and just spread the virus that way. It's built that once it infects the computer, it looks for the contact list in the email and uses that to send itself out like it's from you. A Trojan horse. Trojan horse is a type of malicious code that looks legitimate, but it could take control of your computer. And yes, it's named after the Trojan horse of history. The Trojan horse is designed to damage, disrupt, steal, or inflict harm on networks and data. It's designed as an application that tricks a user into loading and executing the malware on a device. Oh, it looks like something you want. Oh, yeah, I was trying to find a good photo editing software. Here's one. I'll download this one. And you download it, you install it, and it turns out it's malware. It's fake. It looks like it's a fake photo editing software, and actually it's a virus. So it's designed to trick you into loading it up and running it. The purpose of a Trojan is not to replicate. It's just to cause damage to a system or provide an attacker with a means to monitor and control your system. Maybe it's just allowing him access to your web camera and everything you type. All right, next page. Logic bombs. All right, get some real serious terminology here. A logic bomb is a piece of code intentionally inserted into a system that will set off a malicious action when certain conditions are met. So it's like a virus or something that's just waiting in the background until you either type something or open some application or do something. And it may never do anything if you don't ever trigger it. But programmers may hide a piece of code that starts deleting files if they ever get terminated from the company. Yeah, so maybe programmers put that in a company's programming. They write programs for that company. If I ever get fired, I can just hit one button and it'll start deleting all these files that I wrote. That'll teach them to fire me. Some logic bombs are designed to take effect on a specific date. There's been that some in the past. Many people let their guard down days like Christmas, New Year's, or Independence Day, which makes it easier for attackers to achieve their goals. So it may just sit there waiting for a time bomb. They call that one a time bomb because suddenly on Independence Day, this virus launches. So logic bombs can be prevented by using strong and updated antivirus software, using antivirus scans that can pick up on Trojan horses and other viruses hiding logic bombs. 2, don't download pirated software. I can talk about it again. Hey, I cracked the code. You can download this for free. So that software is known to hide viruses and logic bombs. There's a reason they're giving you something for free. Keep operating systems up to date. I know I look now, my computer wants to update Windows. So at the end of the day, when I'm through, I'll have it update before it shuts down. So you got to update regularly. Practice good internet behavior. Don't click on suspicious links, email attachments. If it's not a website that looks legit, it's probably not. Training employees to protect all computers individually. Page 6. Botnet and rootkit. So a botnet, get some good terminology here, is a string of hijacked computers and devices that work together to attack a system. So it's been able to create a network. So the bot master here has a network of computers that are all attacking the same system. Each device in a botnet is known as a bot. That makes sense. A botnet. These are often used to perform the denial of service attacks because they'll have a whole bunch of different computers trying to overload websites. Steal data, send spam, because they can send spam really fast with multiple computers. And allows an attacker to access a system. Any device with internet access is considered vulnerable. Includes web cameras, smart TVs, even common household appliances. How many things in your house are hooked up to the internet now? I know my microwave and my dishwasher and my clothes dryer and the refrigerator. Those are all hooked up to the internet. I guess an attacker could attack my refrigerator if they wanted to. Attackers use a rootkit. That's a piece of software installed and hidden on a computer without your user's knowledge to create a botnet. So the problem with both rootkits and botnets is that they're hidden. Although botnets are not hidden in the same way that rootkits are, they may be undetected unless someone's looking for some certain activity. Computer may be running all this stuff, and if they're not looking to see what it's running, they may not realize it's been taken over and is part of a botnet. If a rootkit has been installed, the users may not be aware it's been compromised, and traditional antivirus software may not detect that. Attackers also continue to create more sophisticated programs that update themselves to make them harder to detect for antivirus programs. So your antivirus, you should have updates on that regularly because there's always new attacks that they're finding and adding to their software. DNS poisoning. So this is also known as DNS spoofing. It's a type of attack that uses security gaps in the domain name system, like the DNS domain name system protocol to redirect internet users to malicious websites. So you type in one website that you think you're going to, and it spoofs it, takes you somewhere else. Once there, the user is prompted to log in with what they believe is their account, but actually you've just typed it in and given it to the attacker. These sites can also install malware on your computer, giving the attacker access to the victim's vulnerable data and information that you have on your computer. A buffer overflow attack, because your computer has a buffer. When you load things on the internet, it loads it into a buffer. It's how fast it displays it on your screen. A buffer overflow attack uses a type of bug called a buffer overflow. Guess that's why it's called a buffer overflow attack. In computers, a buffer is a section of memory that's allocated to data storage. The program overwrites the memory adjacent to the buffer that should not have been modified to begin with. That's what this buffer overflow does. It goes into your buffer and makes it too big to where it actually damages stuff that wasn't supposed to be overwritten. Because the buffer is constantly being overwritten. As you load new websites, it's constantly overwritten. But there's only so much memory allocated for that. So when a buffer overflow occurs in a program, it often crashes or becomes unstable because suddenly some of its code's been overwritten. It's the same as if you tried to pour more water into a cup than its capacity and made it overflow. So here's a little interesting, did you know, WhatsApp, everyone's familiar with WhatsApp, that's a popular instant messenger, is not without vulnerabilities. A critical bug was discovered in May of 2019 in the WhatsApp VoIP, the virtual IP, the feature used for audio and video calls. The bug allowed an attacker to take over your mobile device. The vulnerability was reported as a buffer overflow bug. So an attacker can call the target person, and within minutes of the call, the phone starts revealing everything that's encrypted. How much passwords do you have saved on your phone? Starts revealing that it was mirrored on a computer screen halfway across the world. In fact, the security bug can help an attacker gain complete access to the device, including the camera and microphone. Turn on your phone camera and look at you while he's got your control of your phone there. Your files that you have stored in there. So yeah, everything you have saved on your phone, it is just as vulnerable. Because yeah, WhatsApp was infected there. And they were able to get people's phone information through WhatsApp. All right. That's the end of the lesson. Complete the reading. Make sure you understand the important concepts. And let's look at the assignment with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. 5 questions on attack mechanisms. All right. Good stuff, man. All this stuff, very relevant. I see these things a lot. I go out and look for these things. I find news reports on these things. They're happening. It's a constant battle. People see way too much money being stored in people's phones and computers, and they said, I'm going to get me a piece of that. So, all right, in case you're curious, this is hexadecimal on my shirt. I wore it for programming class because we're doing that lesson on hexadecimal and binary. So I have my hexadecimal shirt. This spells out NERD. So I think if you have nerd written on your shirt in hexadecimal, that pretty much answers itself. So just letting you know. All right, guys, that's all we got this week. Have a super week. This is a B-Day Friday, so I only have class on Wednesday if you have questions. But you can email me. Have a great week.